You're listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more. This is your boy Al Mega. Welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders podcast. Wow, episode 371. We have an amazing return guest. Me and homie here got a fire project that's dropping next month, November, from Titan Comics. Call it Cthulhu, baby. A Call to Cthulhu. Wild book, beautiful art, great story. I think that this guy could be the next Nas if he allowed himself from the UK, you know? Let me introduce this amazing animator, illustrator, artist, creator, the man, the one, the only. You, baby, how you doing?
I didn't recognize myself from your description there.
Like, who the hell is this guy? Like,
I got the wrong day, haven't I?
Nah, brother, you're amazing. Thank you for coming back, brother. We spoke a while back, on your last project, and I'm happy. When I learned that in England, a garage is called a garage, and I was confused for a little bit. Yeah,
I love that we talked for an hour, and that was your number one takeaway.
Oh, bro, listen. Your project was fire, but that one thing is like, okay. That stuck with me. Like, okay, I gotta be mindful of what other people call things and listen with intent and not be confused. Anyway, with that, brother, how you been since the last time, man? Talk about them projects, like what you've been doing since the last time you came on. Don't get into this baby yet, but how you been and navigating the comic book world, if you will.
Oh, navigating the comic book world. Well, I'm when I spoke to you, I was a complete beginner. That was my first book. That must have been a year and a half ago, I guess I spoke to you. And since then, I've been doing more of the con scene over here in the UK. And I've had I don't know how many books I've had out since. Call to Cthulhu, which was my second book, which I self-published originally as the one we're going to talk about, picked up by Titan. Beautiful. And then in the spring, I have a self-published one, Downlands, and I've just finished a Kickstarter for The Space Between the Trees as well.
Oh, look at you, man!
I've been prolific. I'm hoping to burn out soon so I can take a rest.
I love this though that you continue. So how? All right. So talk about that Kickstarter. Was that your first Kickstarter?
The Junction was the first book you came on. So I did that. That was the one I did during the pandemic.
That's right.
Doing good timing, and so that got picked up by Titan. That was my first properly published as well as first self-published book.
Look at you, man, with Titan. How you even? Wait a minute. I gotta know this bochincha here, the story, the gossip rather. How did you hook up with Titan to begin with? What happened there after that Junction project? How you guys hooked up?
How did we hook up on the Junction? It was I don't know if I told the story the first time around, but well, it was a tricky time for everything, the pandemic then. And so I sent the Junction. I self-published, did all right on the Kickstarter and everything. That was fine. And I sent it out as a PDF to different places that were taking submissions and got nothing back. No, you got the sound of tumbleweeds going. One place was good enough to send me a very nice rejection email. But other than that, there's nothing. And we were going
a response. All right.
No response at all. And so we were going in and out of lockdowns at the time. So I thought, what, I'm just going to leave this aside and wait till this period is over and maybe try again once, the dust is settled. And Titan contacted me. And it was a strange coincidence, which I will take, is that someone I used to work with, Tom Baker, I'll give you a shout out. You won't get many of those. He was one of my backers on Junction, and he discovered that his next door neighbor in London was the commissioning editor for Titan.
Oh.
So he showed him the book. Wonderful. And that's how I got in the door. So wow. It's just a weird coincidence, but you take them when you can get them.
All right. So you did that campaign. You say you did another one. So what lessons did you learn from the first to the next that you applied on the most recent?
Wow. Well, it's always the no matter how much time you think you're going to have to spend on actually handling the Kickstarter, not just promoting it, but when you have to fulfill it and ship it
Yeah.
out to everyone, is that however much time you're going to spend. Ooh, got a good feedback sound there. Um, you're going to spend at least twice as much time than you ever envisioned on it, just in that part of the project. Not making the book, but promoting it, fulfilling it. It takes at least twice as long as you have it in your head, or at least in my head.
Okay, so you thought it was okay. I get my books, I pack them up an X amount of time and do what I got to do with the promos, and no, no,
No,
just no.
it's just never ending project. And you can see why, the more successful, like mine are successful enough. I get hundreds of backers, not thousands, but you can see the people that have the really popular Kickstarters. You can see why they get fulfillment companies and that to do that portion of the project for them, because a
See,
single individual is going to have to take a month out of their life just to pack and ship stuff.
oh man, so basically you were just eating, was it bangers and mash all day as you were packing with one hand? Poor guy.
I haven't completely gone that British that I'm eating
Ah,
bangers.
not yet, Al. He goes, hold up, Al, not yet. Love it, love it. All right,
I
so
mean, like I put this screen up here because behind this, my studio is literally like it's basically a warehouse. It's
oh, man.
boxes of books. 4 books in varying stages of things, and I just did a small convention this past weekend, and then I've got London Comic Con this coming weekend.
Are you doing Thought Bubble as well?
Yes, I'm doing Thought Bubble after
Oh,
morning. So I've got I have 3 cons in 4 weeks.
my man Johnny Hughes from Outside the Panel is going to be at Thought Bubble. I'll make sure that he swings by and says hello. All right, so I gotta know. I don't normally get to ask these questions to understand the comic book con, if you will, or mart, as Johnny refers to them.
Okay.
Out there. So how different are those cons from American cons? Are they any different? Is it smaller, bigger? What's the like the energy like?
It's hard for me to say because I've never done an American or even Canadian con.
Oh, no?
No, never.
Oh.
And I grew up in the middle of the countryside in Canada, and then moved out here, so I never did a con.
Oh,
But even within the UK scene, they can be very different. When you say Comic Mart, I'm thinking of places that everyone's selling back issues. It's more of a buyer seller sort of thing.
They have that, like regular old Mart.
I have seen them in the past. I haven't seen them recently. I don't know if it's another thing that the pandemic seems to have killed a lot of things that were going for years, and then there was a couple-year break, and a lot of things never.
And who knows if those people that were running it were the ones that passed. Rest in peace, if so.
But even within the cons for creators, there's a huge difference. Thought Bubble is my favorite because it's literally an indie comic festival. It's all about the comics. There's not much cosplay, but there's like 300 creators under one roof.
Oof.
So it's a massive deal.
So you told me that Johnny needs to take a high-profile camera and take a lot of footage because he's going to be meeting a whole bunch of amazing creators, huh?
It is huge for creators. I think it's the biggest one for creators.
I got to get a passport and make my way over there, Norm.
Yeah, it's a great that's a great festival, and then the Comic-Con is run by the same people who do the New York Con.
Okay.
It's the same team, so I think it's very similar in that way. It's a lot of merchandise. There's a lot of manga. There's different sections, and it's huge. It's in the Excel Center in London. However many football fields worth of stuff. And then I'm in the artist alley with other people, which is only a small part of the whole convention. And the cosplay is huge at that one.
Yeah.
So I think it's very much from what I've seen in the New York. You were at the New York one, weren't you? And you were showing stuff, so it looked very similar.
Yeah, man, I love that New York Con. A lot of fun, a lot of great people. That artist alley, I love to see how busy it actually was. To see people speaking with creators and all, and showing that love, and talking to publishers on the main floor. There was a lot of indie publishers there, so those aisles and booths were busy. So I love seeing that energy. People are, I think, so much more accepting of independent comic books nowadays, and I love it. You know what I mean?
And I think my impression, I can't put hand on heart and say this is true. I think Americans are bigger comic buyers than the UK crowd.
Yes.
A lot of people saying, you do New York, you're going to make huge number of sales. A lot of people buying. But of course, the problem for anyone over here is the expense of going to New York, obviously, and then
getting books shipped properly. Yeah, I get it, man. You guys got to struggle. So you guys are way different in how you guys even read and collect, than what we do, for sure. Mm-hmm. But of course, if you come here, we'll make sure you get spoiled immediately.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
No one will be walking around with a whole bunch of boxes and real books, smelling the print from the 70s. Like, good year. Don't get high on that stuff. All right. So let's get into this baby right here that we got dropping. And folks, look, this book is called A Call to Cthulhu. All right. It was originally published by Homie, picked up by Titan. It is dropping on sale November 14th. Let's take a little sneak peek inside. Oh man, look at that cover, man. Look at that color usage too, kiddo. What? Talk to me about this cover, bro.
Well, this whole project was this is the shortest thing I've ever done. It's between 40 and 50 pages, isn't it? And it was done to take a break from more hardcore graphic novel. I was working on this other one, Downlands, which is like 300 pages.
Let's see the girth on that. That's what she said. Let's see how fat that baby is.
Oh yeah, there it is. So it's 300 pages. We had to actually print it smaller than we wanted to because it was too heavy to ship.
Really?
Yeah. So, but it was while doing that, you're working on one project for so long, you get kind of burnt out on it. So I wanted to do something that was a little bit more fun, a little less structured than a pure graphic novel. So this is how this came apart, because I was trying to avoid work, so I was cleaning out a bookshelf. And I found some really old paperbacks I have from the 80s.
Oh, look. Oh, man, I remember those. Yeah, look at that cover art too, bro.
They're all disembodied eyes. All the covers have disembodied eyes somewhere. So I had a few of those. And then next to it, because I'd taken it from the kids because they no longer wanted it, I had a box set of Dr. Seuss.
The kids didn't. Don't you love that when we take our kids' shit back because they don't want it, and then they try to claim it? Listen, Norm, make sure you repeat to them every day, this is mine. You threw it out, remember. All right? Because my daughter was trying to claim things on me. I'm like, nah, baby, you threw it in the garbage, and I picked it out the garbage myself.
Yeah, that was going in the charity shop pile to be donated. So
he said, no charity. This is going to the charity. Daddy needs some new books.
Yeah. And so I saw that and I started flicking through the Lovecraft, and I thought, I just like to do some illustrations based on this.
Okay.
Just for a bit of fun. And then it slowly went from a handful of illustrations to what it eventually became, which is sort of a children's book not for children.
No, it's not, but it is funny, man. Let me tell you that once you get to the end, folks, you're gonna be chuckling like a mother, because there was some man, I was dying. But throughout too, it's funny. I mean, I feel the characters, how they're shown, or at least or written, a very New York thing. They're on this. This is funny. Again, you got to get me here. Like it's a very New York vibe for me. And I was reading this in the interactions, and
you're using the accent as well. Okay.
Yeah, I was getting it. I was like, yo, I'm you know what? This is like me having an interaction on the train with some people. is what I felt like, but I was digging it. I mean, and and the artistry too, the color. Yo, talk to me, man. I mean, where were you digging deep at too? Because this is Lovecraft, and as we were talking in the green room, I mean, Lovecraft, an amazing creator, but of course, you know, by today's standards, full of issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, he was, you know, a raging racist. Really, I guess that's the only way you can put it. You know, and I don't know. There was also problematic in my mind when I first started doing it. Is like, should I be doing Lovecraft at all, considering kind of human being he was?
Yeah.
But I'm also not a fan of canceling something entirely. What I'd like to see is, you know, we can look at someone's work, but we also have to make sure that you know about the person behind it, which is I have at the end of the book. I discuss his issues, and then also the other fact is because it's in the public domain, no money's going to his to
his legacy or his estate, if you will.
No, you know, no. So you know, there's no monetary value towards that. So it was tricky at first, but then once I got into it, I thought, you know, as long as I highlight the problems, I think we're fine here.
Yeah, no, but you spoke again. Yeah, he may have his issues, but again, he created a lot of cool shit. At the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. You know, I myself like to separate the art and the artist, if you will. Sometimes, you know, because again, sometimes, you know, a great work like this shouldn't suffer because of who the creator was, especially if it's a great idea. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, sadly, you know, again, right? Art. God damn it. It's wild. But again, talking about art, look at these pages right here, bro. What?
Yeah, you've chosen the few comic pages because it is a mix of comic and storybook. So it starts off as a comic, kind of segs into storybook, and then comes back as a comic to tie up the tale.
And it's beautiful though. Here comes an example of kind of the story. Oh man, look at that, yo. That is so fire. Dude.
But it was just so nice to I can do a single illustration for a single story, not worry about how it works.
Where were you at in your headspace though for this particular image? This is gorgeous, man. I dig this a lot. I feel like that's me when I'm working on the computer all day. That's fire, dude. Is that your cat that you put in the background there? What's going on?
We don't have any cats around here, so we have an allergy in the house, so no cats.
Oh man, that sucks, dude. Look at this amazing tattoo. I mean, art. This is a tat though. Look at. Are you ever considered being a tattoo artist? Because this is fire right there.
No, I'm
You know what? We're gonna make Norm into a tattoo artist by the end of this show. He's gonna be doing tattoos at Thought Bubble or some other convention eventually, one of these days.
Well, I did because unfortunately I've got a little bit of arthritis in my fingers. I work entirely digitally, and because there's very little pressure you need to use. Okay. But also when I'm at a convention, I don't want to be sketching in the books because I might be having a bad arthritis day. So I did all these. I do rubber stamps.
Okay. That I put rubber stamps.
Like, you know, I have an image of Cthulhu, which I stamp, you know, ink pad and stamp in the book. And the number of people then who, after having a stamp in the book, rolled up their sleeve and said, "Can you stamp my arm?"
Oh shit, really? Look at you, he's a rock star. Norm was a rock star. He is stamping human bodies, folks.
Yeah, well, that's as close as I've got to tattooing someone. So it washed off with their next shower.
That's some rock star shit, though. But again, what headspace did you get into for even this type of image? Where were you at when you were illustrating this? I mean, this is
maybe it's a frightening insight into my mind. I don't know.
I mean, Norm is a scary man. Then please don't eat yeah. I don't know, man. That means he's evolving more into the European sense now. And once he eats the bangers and mash, then this is the life he lives. No?
You and your mash.
Oh man. Oh man, and look at this, yo. Oof. Oof. Yo.
And
Yeah.
what I also like about Lovecraft is,
Beautiful.
it's not his writing style. He's very heavy to read. Sometimes it's quite a slog to get through it. But his descriptions of things can be quite nebulous, so you've got quite a bit of freedom as to where you go with his creations. He hasn't been entirely too specific. And I'm sure some real H.P. Lovecraft fans are going to take exception to the way I've interpreted a couple of things. I always do. I'll wait for Twitter for that.
Yeah, let's go X now, right? But listen, I think they're gonna appreciate overall because again, I think this is a gorgeous book. The way it flows, story-wise and artistically, it's a wonderful. You said it's one of your shortest projects. I mean, how quick did you do this, or did you, because you knew it was a short project, page-wise, did you kind of meticulously want to take your time with it?
I flew through this.
I banged it out, baby.
Because it was fun. The lack of structure compared to a full-scale graphic novel was just so nice, just to go, through quickly, piece by piece. And the problem is, if I spend too long on an illustration, I tend to ruin it. I sort of put a time limit in my head.
Really? Talk about that.
On it, or otherwise I overcomplicate it. I overwork. I can overwork things.
All right, let's talk about that, because I love this piece right here. Mm-hmm. This would make a great poster, even a T-shirt, right? But all right, so you're talking about putting a time limit on yourself. When you were working on this particular piece, if you will, okay, like where did you place yourself at time-wise to get it done before you went nuts?
Well, the way I work is in kind of two stages, because the main structure is drawn in Illustrator. It's all vector artwork, so that gives you all the sharp lines and everything that you see here. So that's my one stage. And I will, on an illustration like this, I'll probably set myself an hour and a half to 2 hours to get that section done. And it's not that section where I tend to overwork. It's the next bit where I go to Photoshop and I have a library of paint swatches that I've done and then scanned and digitized, which then I layer in Photoshop to give it the textures and the more painted look. And that is the period where I could sit there and I keep putting more layers on and more layers on until it's muddy and ruined. But I mean, the great thing about Photoshop, you work in layers, you can start stripping those layers off. But I'd rather not get to the point where I'm going to have to go backwards. I do it all the time where I I don't know what I'm doing with this point, and I just chuck all the Photoshop layers off and start from scratch again.
You sound like a friend of mine when he's doing video stuff on the Adobe programs, and he just starts digging in and just playing and finding new tools. Like, oh my God, bro, when is this ever gonna be ready? Please, bro, I need it. Yeah, but this is dope, man. Check it out. Exactly, Cthulhu, visually stunning take on H.P. Lovecraft's classic tale by my man right here, Norm Konyu. This book is dropping November 14th. All right. So make sure you go visit your local comic shop today, right? And tell them you want this on your pull. And listen, even if it's not for you, guess what's around the corner? Christmas, or we Latino like to say crima, right? So it's right around the corner, a great stocking stuffer. So start thinking about wonderful gifts. I think this is definitely, I think this is my first ad to the Comic Crusaders comic book Christmas list to add as a stocking stuffer, because it is a beautiful book. It's a fun read by an amazing creator. Because once you read this, let me tell you, you're gonna start doing a deep dive into the world of the Konyu verse on some real shit. And you don't believe me? Then go follow him on Instagram and Twitter or X, all right, at Norm Konyu. That's NORMKONYU. At Blue Sky as well. Norm Konyu the BSKY.social, and visit his website, baby, Moose Boy comiccrusaders.shop.co.uk. I love saying that. Moose Boy! Sounds gangster, man. The illest superhero is coming out the UK ramming everybody. Is that what's going to happen?
It'd be more of a Canadian superhero, I think.
Oh,
well, we don't have too many Mooses around here.
You moved, so you could do a story of a moose that landed in the UK out of nowhere, you know, and he's changing the game over there. You know what I mean? He's the new guy on the block. Love it. So what else is in store for the Konyu verse? I mean, outside of this wonderful book that's dropping in November.
Well, boy. So I've got the 2 that I've crowdfunded this year available on my website. There's my little.
Hey, I'm right there, folks. You better start picking that up. Look at him already pitching. I love it.
Yeah, there we go. They're there. And I don't know. I've kind of the tank is fairly empty at the moment after 4 books in 3 years, I think. But I'll see what comes up around the corner that way. And, you know, we still have to do a day job as well. So
I hear you, man. You and me both, my brother. And just repeat, you know, do you know your booth numbers for the conventions that you will be attending in the UK so folks know to visit you? Or
there you go. The only one I've memorized is because people asking me today is at London Comic Con this weekend. I am in Artist Alley at D5. That's D for Donald.
There you go. D Delta, the number 5, baby. Check out our man Norm. So are you going to be carrying a nice amount of inventory so people can be taking wonderful books home?
I hope so, and I hope they buy the books because they're always heavy to bring back after a convention, aren't they?
Please help our indie creators, avoid back problems, my friends.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's important, man. I mean, we want them to survive and be healthy, right? So, them lugging them boxes back and forth is not fun. So when they arrive, make sure that they're empty when they leave, all right?
There's nothing more pathetic than a comic book artist with a hernia.
Poor guy. And this is why most of them can't get up sometimes off their seat. You can't blame them. It is our fault for not buying their stuff. How dare us not support amazing creators, right? I love it. No, you're amazing, bro. I dig the energy. Thank you for not teaching me any new English words I could tease you on today.
You kept trying to get a rise out of me there with the bangers and mash, but
I was pushing. You will try this today, apparently. No, let me stop. All right, but no, for real, folks, I'm gonna say it one more time. You gotta pick up this book from the Amazing Titan Comics. All right, amazing label. They're printing one of my favorite heroes of all time right now, Conan.
They've got Conan now. Yeah.
With Zim Zub, you know what I mean? And then they bring in a whole bunch of other stuff with the Blade Runner verse and all these amazing other things. And of course, they got the Konyu verse. Of course. I mean, if no other reason, it's the Konyu verse that you got to go for Titan right now. All right, trust on that. And again, it's Moose Boy and it's Norm Konyu. My brother, thank you again. Mi gente, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate the heck out of you guys for supporting Comic Crusaders. Visit the website, comiccrusaders.com. That intro tells you everything you got to do. Get that phone, get them apps, and do everything. But most importantly, support independent comics and amazing creators like Norm. All right? That's what you got to do. Ain't that right, Norm?
That's exactly right. Thank you for having me on again. The first time didn't put you off.
Nah, but listen, this is your casa. You're welcome back anytime. And that goes for any independent creator with a fire project out there. This is your home. Come on over. Mega got you. Hasta la próxima, mi gente. Wepa!
Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.com and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.